Okay, let's do our review. So we learned about vertex form. We did a whole lot of equations on the smartboard with vertex form. What is the general equation of a parabola in vertex form? Who remembers? Y equals?
Y equals A, bracket, X minus H, bracket,
Yep.
X minus K. Alright, plus K.
Plus K. Okay, what?
Square.
Right, okay. Without that square, it's not a parabola. Without that square, it's a line. Okay, so parabolas have degree 2, remember. Okay. Vertex form tells us vertex. And in this case, it's just known form HK. So an example would be y equals, yeah, so copy this down, guys. This will help you when you study for your test. Okay, so if I give you this example right here, what's my vertex? Miriam? 1 and negative 12. Perfect. All right, remember, if it's x minus 1, your vertex is positive 1. If it's plus 1 here, then your vertex is negative 1. All right, K stays the same. Good. Okay. If I want you guys to expand out to standard form, all right, let's work this out and rewrite it into standard form. So y equals 3 times x minus 1 times x minus 1 minus 12. If I were to expand this out. So don't forget, FOIL. This was last chapter. You see how there's a connection between last chapter and this chapter? So 3 bracket x times x squared. X times negative 1, negative 1x. Negative 1 times x, negative 1x. Negative 1 times negative 1, plus 1. Simplify. So x squared minus 2x plus 1 minus 12. Okay. What we did was we combined the like terms of these two. Distribute. Distribute by multiply. Right, Samir? Okay. So 3x squared minus 6x plus 3 minus 12. Okay. And then so my last step, these two, I can combine them. And I have y equals 3x squared minus 6x minus 9. What is this form called? Yeah. Standard form of a parabola. What does standard form tells us? What information can I get from this equation? By just looking at this equation? And in this case, what's my y-intercept? Negative 9. Good. Yep. That's my next question. Okay, you're saying simplify, but what do you mean by simplify? Divide everything by 3. So that 3 doesn't disappear because you can't just make that 3. You can't just pick out that 3 and throw it away. What we could do is we could common factor. Last chapter again. We can common factor out that 3. So then this becomes 3 bracket x squared minus 2x minus 3. Can we go further? Can we go further with this factoring? So what we did was we took a common factor out of these 3 terms. But this right here, we have a trinomial. So remember from last chapter, trinomial factoring?
X minus 3 and x plus 1.
Yeah. Remember trinomial factoring? Triangle times square equals -3. Triangle plus square equals -2. If you just look at this part. Okay, so what's works? -3 and 1. -3 times 1, -3. -3 plus 1, -2. So therefore my brackets, 3 bracket x minus 3 and x plus 1. What is this format called? We just did it yesterday. Factored form. And what does factor form tells us? We just did 2 examples. Yep. My x-intercepts. So my x-intercept equal, in this case, it's 3. And my second x-intercept, -1. Yeah.
So in the practice with form, it's x minus r, x minus n0.
Yeah.
Yesterday you told us about roots and zeros. Is this S stand for solutions?
No. What R and S stands for? Just 2 random letters that they chose. Just like H and K doesn't have a meaning either. Yeah. So and it's like M stands for slope when the spelling has no M in it. So some mathematician just decided to use these 2 letters to represent x-intercepts. Yeah. Okay. So for the test on Friday, yeah, I could ask you guys to interchange between the 3 forms. Actually, not interchange. Okay, I could ask you, given the vertex form, put it into standard form. I could give you the standard form and ask you to put it in factor form. I could give you factor form and ask you to put in standard form. But only thing I won't ask is for you to go from standard to vertex. Standard to vertex is next chapter. Okay. So this is another method. So this way we'll do next chapter. But anything we did right here is possible. Okay. So this example that I chose, it worked out very nice because numbers are nice. You can see the 3 different formats. Vertex form tells you the vertex. Standard form tells you the y-intercept. And factor form tells you the x-intercepts. Okay. Okay. So since we're on this right now, let's graph this too. Okay. Just like what we did at the beginning of class. Let's say I give you this factored form parabola. I need to figure out where that middle is. Okay, where is my axis of symmetry? Axis of symmetry, that's how you spell symmetry. Okay. So the middle between 3 and -1. So x equals 3 plus -1 divided by 2. So where is my axis of symmetry? Coming? 1, yeah. All right. On the test, if I ask you what is the axis of symmetry and you just say 1, you're not going to get the mark. Make sure you write x equals 1 for equation of axis of symmetry. It's not an equation unless there's an equal sign. So to write your axis of symmetry, you always write it as an equation. Okay. So when x is 1, now that I know where that middle is, I can figure out what my vertex is. Okay. What do I do with this one? Yep. Plug it back into this equation to figure out what y is. So y equals 3. Sub in the 1 in here. So 1, 1. Oh, let me zoom this in. Sorry. So it's a little easier to see. Okay, so you get 3 times negative 2 times positive 2, and you get negative 12. So y is negative 12. I have my x, I have my y. Therefore, what is my vertex as a coordinate? Yep. 1, negative 12. Okay, if you copy down the note, where did we see 1, negative 12 from? Yeah. In our vertex form, right in the first line. I didn't say. Okay. So, next question. This. All right. So, vertex form. I have this vertex form. I have this standard form. And I have this factored form. Which parabola is bigger? Which one of these 3 parabolas is bigger? Ryan? They are the same thing. Yes, I tried to trick you guys. Yeah.
I have a question. So for factored form, they give you the 2 x-intercepts, right? But not all parabolas have 2 x-intercepts.
Good.
Are there going to be any like that on the test?
Okay, I'll get to that in a second. Yeah, so these 3, standard form, factored form, vertex form, these are all the same parabola. So neither bigger or smaller or fatter or shorter. When I graph it, it's just the same parabola, just different representation. Let's try to graph it then. So this one, okay, my vertex 1 and negative 12. Somewhere like right here. My x-intercepts, we said it was 3 and negative 1. Right here. Our y-intercept was negative 9. Right here. All right. Symmetry means that the other point is over here. Okay. So there you go. There's our parabola. Looks good because looking at the equation, I know it's a parabola opening upward. My parabola opens upward. That is like always the first thing you should check for. After you graph it is take a look at the direction of your parabola. I've seen so many times the equation is negative, but they draw me a parabola opening up. Okay. All the parabolas that we are going to do in grade 10 are either going to be a U or a N or a U like this or a N like this. So it's always a parabola that's vertical. Okay. With these ones right here, remember your parabola keeps going out, right? It keeps expanding out, expanding out, expanding out. Does it ever stop? No. So if it never stops, that means your parabola can be any x value. Okay. In one of the homework, you guys saw the word domain. What domain means is what x value can your parabola be. So in this case, if your parabola goes on forever, it could be anything. X belongs to all the real number. All right, that's how we write the notation for domain. So if you see this question on the test, it's like a free mark because your answer will always be X belongs to all the real number in grade 10. because your parabola goes on forever, right? It keeps going on, going. Your parabola can be 100. It could be a negative 100. It could be 1. It could be negative 1,000. So its domain is asking you what value can your parabola be. So the x value of your parabola, it could be anything. And we use this little symbol like an E to say x belongs to all the real numbers.
So what will you write on the test? That symbol?
Yeah, x.
Because we're doing it online, right?
There will be one part on paper. Hint, hint, hint. All right, so free mark. This is free mark. If I ask you domain, you write this. That's one free mark right there. All right. When will it not be this? Grade 11. You can worry about that in grade 11. Okay. So if domain means the x value, what does range represent then? The y value. So remember that chart that we did a few days ago, where that chart that we did a few days ago, and I always ask you guys, what is your maximum, what is your minimum value? And you had to say like maximum at y equals 5, minimum at y equals negative 100. So that's what range is. So what value, based on this graph right here, what value can your y values be? What can y be in this parabola? Mohammed?
Anything greater than negative 12?
Yeah, good. So to translate that into math, y could be anything greater than 12. Negative 12, sorry. Y can be greater than anything greater than any. Y can be anything greater than negative 12. Okay, aka y has a minimum at negative 12. Okay. So let's just say, for example, let's say this one, my vertex is negative 8 and 2. What would my domain and range be for this parabola right here? Domain would be, for the free mark, XER, right? X belongs to all the real number. And what would the range be for this parabola? Yep. Anything under 2. Y less than or equal to 2. Okay. In grade 11, you guys do domain and range in every single chapter. Yeah. So just remember, domain is what x value your graph can take. Range is what y value your graph can take. Okay. Or what it can be. Okay. Every chapter in grade 11, you'll be asked domain and range. Okay. How are we doing so far? Okay, so I'm like kind of combining everything that we've learned together into this example. Since we're, might as well. Description. Transformation description. What happened here? The 3 tells you it's a stretch of 3. All right, this right here. Okay, is it to the left or to the right? To the right. So move right 1, or shift right 1, or translate it right 1. And this? Move down 12. Okay, so shift down 12. On the test, don't just say like down, because I won't know if you're talking about opening down or moving down. You have to be specific. Okay, so those are my 3 translations. Remember, you need to know the written translations too. Okay, next example. One more example. Let me grab paper. Oh yeah. Okay, so remember, what's another word for x-intercept? Roots. X-intercepts. Roots. Another word for it? Zeros. Yeah.
Solution's another word.
Yeah. Good. Solution. Yeah. So all these means the same thing. So if on the test I say the parabola has roots of this and this, it means it has x-intercepts of those. If I say find the zeros of this parabola, it means find the x-intercept. So just wanted you guys to know the terminology. So let's say a parabola has vertex 2, -18, and roots -1 and 5. What is the equation of this parabola? Okay. So I'm going to show you guys 2 ways to come up with the equation. One way using Monday's method. Second way using yesterday's method. Okay. So since I gave you guys the vertex, we can put it in vertex form. Okay, y equals a bracket. Can you put this in vertex form for me? X. And now what? This is my vertex. How do I write it inside? Yep.
X minus 2 bracket minus 18.
Okay. What is Maria missing?
Square.
Square, right. Without that square, it's not a parabola. It's a line. Good. Okay. So we used our vertex and we set up our equation. So thinking back to what we did the last 2 days, I have to sub in one other point. I have to sub in one other point to form x and y. Sub in something for x and y. All right. Am I given another point here? Right? Good. Okay, so I did not give you -1, 5. These are x-intercepts. So if I were to rewrite this as a coordinate, I could write -1, 0. And I'm actually given 2 options, 5 and 0. Okay, so when I give you an x-intercept, I actually give you another coordinate. All right. So I only need to sub in one other point for xy. So it doesn't matter which one I put in. I have a choice. I'll put in the -1, 0. I like 0. -1 is a smaller number. Okay. So subbing it in. So 0 equal a bracket -1 minus 2 square minus 18. All right, so I subbed in the -1, 0 for my x and my y. Okay. Let's continue solving. So 0 equals negative 1 subtract negative 1 subtract 2, negative 3, square it, 9. Okay, let me rewrite that so that it looks a little neater. So 0 equals 9a minus 18. How do I solve for a now? Yeah, bring 18 to the other side. So I get positive 18. 0 plus 18 is just 18. And a is? Yeah. And then divide that 9 over, divide it, so a is 2. Okay. So what is my equation in vertex form? Okay, who can tell me my equation in vertex form? Caitlin? Can you tell me my equation in vertex form? Sorry?
Sorry, I'm still doing it. I'm behind.
That's okay. Aiko? Perfect. Okay. Okay, let's say I want to, for the sake of the practice, let's change it to standard form. Okay, I'll give you guys 30 seconds. Try to change this into standard form. Okay, what did you get for your standard equation? How many did you get it? Perfect, good job. And my y-intercept, negative 10. Okay. Same thing right here. My y-intercept equals negative 10. In other words, my coordinate here is 0, negative 10. So whenever they tell you x-intercept or y-intercept, they actually gave you a coordinate. Don't forget 0. One mistake that I usually see people have on these type of questions is when they see x-intercept negative 1, they see only one number. They forget that this is actually a coordinate. You have your x and your y. Okay, so that's one method. We used vertex form to figure out the equation. Well, I did give you guys the x-intercepts, so let's use the x-intercept method, the factored form. Can I set it up with my intercepts? Yeah.
Can you show the other answer again?
Oh, sure. Okay, so this is standard form. So what I did was I expanded this out. This is x squared minus 4x plus 4. Distribute that 2 in by multiplying, and then simplify the last two terms. Okay. So here, right here, I gave you guys 2 x-intercepts. Can you guys put that into the factor form? Y equals a times Sapenda? Okay, if my two x-intercepts are these two, how would I write it in here? X minus -1, which is +1. Perfect. That's it. Good. Okay. So, just like right here, I'm going to have to sub in one other point. What point should I sub in for x and y? Which point did I not use? Yeah. I used 5, 0. I used it here to set up 2, 8, -18. Yeah, my vertex. Now, since I use my intercepts to set up my equation, I can use my vertex as the third point, as the other point to sub in. Okay. So remember, if you used your x-intercepts to set up this factor form, you cannot sub in your x-intercepts again. Otherwise, you're going in circles. It will all cancel out. Okay. So subbing in this, so -18 for y, and then subbing in 2 for the x, subbing in 2 for the x. Okay, I have this. So I replaced it the x with a 2 and replaced it the y with a -18. -18 equals a times 3 times -3. -18 equals -9a. Divide that by -9. A equals 2. Oh, now what do you know? Okay. So what's my equation in factored form? Corn, why don't you help me here? So I found out what A is.
Y equals 2, x plus 1, x minus 5.
Perfect. So factor form. Okay, so again, for the sake of the practice, can you expand this out into standard form? Take 30 seconds, expand this out. What did you get? Should I say? Same thing. So there you go. Vertex form, factor form, standard form. So you see how it's the same parabola. All you did was interchange between them. For this equation, what's my domain? What's my range? What's my domain? XER, thank you. I expected the whole class to say XER because it's free mark. And your range. To figure out your range, which form would tell you your range? Which form would help you with your range?
Standard.
Standard tells you your y-intercept. Factor tells you your x-intercepts. Vertex. Yeah, it got to be one of the three. So yeah, vertex. Remember, vertex tells you your maximum or minimum. So to figure out what your range is, you have to look at your max or min. Okay, so this is my equation. I know my vertex is 2 and -18. How do I know if this is a minimum or maximum? Mohammed? This negative?
I can't see that.
Oh. Nope. All right. So I know this is my vertex. How do I know if this is a maximum or minimum?
The A.
The A. That's right. Opens up. So this is a minimum. That means y can be anything greater or equal to negative 18. My y value of my vertex. Okay. Okay, last thing I want to go over. This is what Ryan was asking earlier. Okay. This parabola. How many x-intercepts do I have here? 2. Yeah, 1, 2. So I have 2 x-intercepts. What about this parabola here? How many x-intercepts do I have here? 1. So, or 1 root. Just to show the different word. All right. What about this parabola here? How many zeros do I have? None. Yeah, so I have 0 zeros. Right? If I give you a parabola like this, can I use factored form to come up with my equation? No, because I have no x-intercept, so I cannot use this format. All right. So in this case, to figure out the equation of this, I would have to use vertex form. Okay. This one, can I use factor form? For 1 root, can I use factor form? Yeah. All right, I can use factor form. What do you think will happen with these 2 brackets? Not 0, 0. This one is on the side, right? So 0, 0 would be right here. But what would happen is if it's the same root, then it's going to be like x plus 1 and another x plus 1. Or x plus 1 squared. So when you do your zeros, you'll just get the same 1 x-intercept. Right, so for example, an equation like this could be like y equal 8x minus 5 squared, for example. This would be an example of what 1 root would look like. Yeah. Yeah, that's good point. So this is actually like vertex form / factor form, both. Right. And then here 2 x-intercept, and it could be any of these 3. Okay. So I think that's a really comprehensive summary of everything we did so far. Any questions? Okay, so let's practice then. I have the worksheet. I made a photocopy for you guys. Right here. I also recorded this, so a very long video today, 40 minutes. So review it if you need to, especially I know some people were away today, so this will be very helpful. So first page of the review looks very familiar. We did tons of these on the smartboard. Okay, so these ones right here. On the back, graph it using 7 points. So you could either do step method, table of value, or transformations from based on these. Okay, so whichever way you want, I just need 7 points. Okay, on the bottom of the sheet, it does tell you more practice questions. These ones right here. So where do you find these questions? Chapter 4 homework. So on Brightspace, content, unit 5, chapter 4 homework. Okay, this file right here. Sounds good? All right. I don't expect you guys to do all these for tonight. I'll give you guys class time tomorrow to work on it, and we'll take up some of the questions from here as well. Okay, so you have tonight and tomorrow to work on all these review.